want to welcome you today by saying bonjour. Bonjour. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
So raise your hand if you know what we just said in 3 different languages. Hello and welcome everybody. Today I'll be taking you on a global tour of the world. But since I'll be your tour guide today, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kathleen Bart. I'm an author and an illustrator. I wrote and illustrated 4 different books. I have 3 different books about teddy bears, and these could all be found in your school library. And today I'll be sharing my most unusual book with you, Global Gourmet. But what you may not know about me is that before I became an author and an illustrator, I was a fashion designer for Ralph Lauren. I worked in New York City in a big office building on Madison Avenue. I designed children's clothing, and I also designed the Ralph Lauren polo bear. You might have seen him, he's wearing polo clothes, and he's on t-shirts and towels. Well, I have to tell you, the best part of being a fashion designer was that traveling to different parts of the world was actually part of my job. I got to go to faraway places like Japan, Hong Kong, and China. Now, during the day, I worked really hard. I would visit the factories that made my clothes. I would go to the stores and make sure that the displays looked beautiful. But at the end of the night, I got to go out for these amazing dinners with my Japanese friends. And my Japanese friends knew that I was an adventurous eater and that I could taste anything. So I got to taste all kinds of exotic things like green tea ice cream, but with red bean sauce on top. One time in Tokyo, I got to eat sea urchin sushi. And the most unusual thing I ever tasted was in Hong Kong when I got to taste snake soup. It sounds awful, but it was delicious, and they served it in the coolest way. They took this big round melon, they cut it in half, scooped the melon out, and put the soup inside. It was delicious. Not only did I love tasting all of these weird exotic foods, I loved learning about the cultures of each of these places. When I would travel someplace new, I would learn about the traditions, the customs, the celebrations, and the holidays of each of these places. So I put all of these food and cultural experiences into my book, Global Gourmet. Today, we're going to begin our world tour by studying the 12 illustrations that represent the 12 different regions that are featured in my book. And the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to silently, to yourself, make observations on the drawing. I would like you to look for clues like what the people are wearing, famous landmarks and landscapes that might be behind them, the type of food they're eating, the kind of music they're playing, the dances they're performing. And based on the clues that you find, let's see if you can figure out what part of the world each of these illustrations represent. Once you figure that out, then you'll have a chance to show up everything you know about world cultures when you answer the travel trivia question that I've prepared for each of these 12 places. A couple of things I want to remind you about before I begin. I'm the author and the illustrator of this book. I did all the illustrations you see here today. Thank goodness I didn't have to do my drawings that large. I did them small, like the pages of my book, and then I had them blown up into these big posters so you could see my drawings better. And raise your hand if you can guess what I might have used to color my drawings with. Yes. Exactly. I used colored pencils on top, but underneath the colored pencil, I used magic marker. So the marker gave me these bright colors underneath, And then all of the layers of colored pencil gave me the detail and the shading and the texture and the pattern. For those of you who like to draw, sometimes you might want to mix up your art material and see what kind of a result you get. Well, without any further delay, let's begin our world tour. We're going to start over here on the far left side, take a good look at what those people are wearing, what's behind them, and raise your hand if you can guess what part of the world that is. Yes.
Japan.
It's Japan. Very good. And what were some of the clues you saw in the drawing?
The mountain.
The mountain. Does anyone know the name of that famous mountain? Yes.
That's the Chinese volcano.
You're close, yes. Good guess, because Mount Everest is the tallest peak in the world, but that's not it.
Mount Fuji.
Excellent. Mount Fuji. What other clues do you see in the drawing?
The Chinese symbols.
Very good. The Japanese characters or writing that's on the wall hanging. What else? Very good. The rice paper screen like you might only see in Japan. They're not using chairs. They're sitting, kneeling on the floor in the traditional Japanese manner. What else? The types of trees, the cherry blossoms. Does anyone know the name of the traditional Japanese garment that she's wearing? Begins with the letter K. Very good. It's a kimono. You also might have noticed they're eating with chopsticks. And does anyone know why it's a Japanese tradition to remove your shoes before entering someone's home or a restaurant? It's a sign of respect. Because if you take off your shoes because you don't want to dirty someone's home, that's showing